Hello everyone, welcome to another Fowl Original with me, good old Fowl Original, here on Newsround, the place where I was meant to be for so long. Oh God, it's been a fun few days, it has. For those of you that don't know, hello, my name's Fowl Original, how you doing? That was Ready to Rumble by PJ and Duncan. As you can hear, I sound a little bit out of sorts. I'm going to just show you this, well, you see this little cut here? That's where the ring from the person who punched me in the face yesterday was from. Which brings us to public transport. 47 minutes in hell. Yes. I figured that I would broach this topic really quickly because it happened to me yesterday and I'm still kind of stewing over it. I'm very annoyed. It's very annoying is what it is, more than anything else. Because, well, they didn't have to hit me. What a bloody stereotype. Speaking of bloody stereotypes, for those of you that haven't really been around the Fowl Original News channel before, there's a place I'd like you to go to. There's a place that only we go, that only we know, called fowloriginal.com. When you go to fowloriginal.com, you will see my big old bird face. When you see the big old bird face, go ahead and click support the channel. Click support the channel, bring you to two options there. There's a donate button that will load in a second. There's also become a Patreon. I seem to be having slight internet issues at the moment, but the donate button, there it is, donate button pops up. When you go to the donate button, it takes you through to a PayPal donation page, which it's also having a lot of trouble with loading. Let's see if I can close some of these things down. Here we go. Go ahead and give me $5, for example. Make a monthly donation to help support my content on the regs. That's Fowl Original's Newsround, Fowl Original Wrestling, and all the other bits and bobs I do on here. It's on the Twitter and also all over the shop on other things. Thank you very much for all your support so far. Obviously, if you can't financially help, that is totally fine. Thank you very much, Niaz. If you can't financially help, that's totally fine. You can, of course, help by just liking, sharing, and subscribing wherever you see me here on the Fowl Original. A bit of jump cuts, messing around with the format a little bit. But yeah, so public transport, 47 minutes in hell. Very briefly. Yesterday, I was socked in the kisser by a young whippersnapper who I originally kind of pegged for about 14. Thinking back to it, probably about 16. There were 8 of them, and they didn't like it when I asked them to turn down their music on the bus. I was on the phone, and the music, you could feel it within you, and that was not very fun. I was very annoyed, and I asked them to turn it down. They then waited until the bus stop that I wanted to get off at, and they did. And then they tried to get me to hit them, but I don't do that because I'm not a fool. And then one of them socked me and ran off like a child, because that's what he is. Now, that's public transport for you, my friends. Now, you may have seen some stuff out on the Twitter that I've been putting out, because I was trying to get in contact with the bus company, and they were being like ever so silly. And so I just put it out on Twitter. Straight away, they were back to me. To be honest, they have emailed me, and they've asked me to give them like details of the incident stuff. They have like kind of been a bit better. I was going to come on here and slam the hell out of them, but I'm not, because they have moved quite fast. I was quite angry at the time. But public transport is 47 minutes in hell. That particular trip that I took was 47 minutes, and that's why it's called 47 minutes in hell. The bus journey I should have taken would have only normally been about 10 to 15, but it seems as if, and this is just a general editorial, public transport within its normal realm right now is not geared towards transporting the public, but it's geared towards transporting profits to the pockets of shareholders. The buses, for example, in Birmingham, we have a local firm called, I'm not going to say, but we have a local firm, and they are monopoly, essentially, within this area. They have a license of the buses, and they have been, you can see, experimenting with when they can use double-deckers, when they can use smaller deckers. A few of the routes have now been split into like segmented parts, but it means that where you'd have 2 buses that were late, you now have 1 bus that's late, and that bus is a single decker, so the extra people that are waiting, they can never, sardines, it's pure sardines, and it becomes like a bit of a jungle out there. And I don't care. I get the bus, yeah. That's my choice. I don't drive. So I can't really complain about it. But I do feel for anyone who can't really like hold their head up. Like I took a punch in the face for being on public transport. But at the same time, as I already said, that guy I thought he was gonna break my nose, but he didn't. And he ran so fast. And those kids, those bloody kids, as I said, and I've said before, the the kind of advice given to me by the police, as I had to, was that um, if I see him again, I should just call him. And I was a bit like, yeah, but to be honest, it's 8 kids of a certain racial description that it's a lot of them, roughly where I work. So that's that. But that's public transport, 47 minutes in hell. I wanted to link this into another story, which is kind of why I've got this up to begin with. Like today, I'm all ready for this. I'm ready. I'm ready to go for Newsround. Now it's this. Lit firework put in homeless army veteran's coat by youths. Now, the reason why I bring this story to you is because 8 kids got off the bus to try to attack me. Yeah, 8 of them. Like, if one of them had that much of a problem with me that they were going to get off like half the way before their bus stops, then, I mean, they could have at least had the decency to try and go one-on-one. But I wouldn't even fight them. They were children. Like, I'm not going to hit a child. This is a story. A homeless army veteran suffered leg injuries after a youth allegedly put a lit firework in his pocket and said, have a sparking good night, mate. The incident in Liverpool on 5th of November is one in a series of attacks that have been reported across the UK. Fireworks have been thrown at police in London and at firefighters in Bradford and in Scotland. It comes as a petition calling for a ban on the sale of fireworks to the public has exceeded 160,000 signatures. The petition says fireworks can cause nuisance to the public as well as injuries and damage to buildings and property. A ban has already been called for by the parents of 4-year-old Rosie Mae Mason, who was scarred by a rocket let off at a back garden display last year in Wales, while senior doctors have called for graphic images of injuries to be displayed on packaging. Very similar to what happens with all of us smokers now. Yeah, thanks everyone. You get to see a great grim look into your future every single time you pick up a pack of tobacco. But the British Fireworks Association has said a ban would be heavy-handed and fireworks should be used responsibly. And this is footage from inside a fire engine that shows the moment fireworks were thrown at firefighters. This is what I wanted to show you because this, to me, is kind of like the pulse of the nation. Like, this is what... This is going to sound so old man foul, but this is what kids are doing now. This is what kids are doing for fun. But look... You can see fireworks just being thrown directly into a fire engine and then attacking the crew. Why are they attacking the crew? Oh, because it's funny, isn't it? It's not funny. It's not funny. When you're throwing things at people that could potentially save you from a stupid incident when you yourself probably light the firework in your own house. That's not cool. That's not cool. Why is it okay? Yeah. Or why is it okay for that to be happening? Like, I didn't do the show yesterday, mainly because I was very, very, very annoyed. Very annoyed. And I figured I'd come on here and I would be absolutely heavy-handed with the situation. But I haven't been. And so, as I said, linking into that story, this is what the kids are doing now. But in Liverpool, volunteer Andy Shute from homelessness charity Paper Cup said he helped the army veteran after the appalling and inhumane attack. The veteran, in his late 30s, said he felt one of the 4 teenagers brush past him and within seconds he could smell burning. He then grabbed the firework from his coat and suffered burns on his middle finger. Chief Inspector Paddy Kelly said the shocking incident would not be tolerated and were determined to find the offenders. And then elsewhere, a major fire that ripped through a former cattle market in Nottingham on Sunday, being treated as an arson attack. In London, the Metropolitan Police posted a video of fireworks being thrown at officers in Enfield. I want to show you this one as well. Just look at it. There's some police officers, and people are throwing fireworks at the police officers. Like, is desensitization of violence that much that in Glasgow, riot police were deployed after mass use through fireworks at police officers? A 17-year-old boy will be reported to the procurator fiscal in connection with the incident. The chief constable of Greater Manchester Police has also backed a ban on the public sale of fireworks, arguing they should be restricted to professionals. Currently, anyone over 18 can buy fireworks for use on private property, such as their back garden. However, it is against the law to set off fireworks in the street. Those who use fireworks illegally can be fined up to £5,000 and imprisoned for up to 6 months. A very, very uplifting episode of Fowl Original's Newsround today. Oh yes, it bloody well is. But that's all I want to really talk about on this topic. Obviously, you will see stuff on my Twitter, I'm guessing, and I was going to kind of go through a blow-by-blow account of what had happened over the social media, but I feel like this is an ongoing investigation now. It's an ongoing investigation. Fowl Original is involved in stupidness again. Dang it. So let's take you to one of the other stories for tonight, because these could be way better. Screen time does not affect children's sleep. So there's a new study that's come out from Oxford University, and this study kind of poo-poos all over a lot of what people have tended to talk about when they say that screen time, so, you know, phones, tablets, you got visual aids here, phones, laptops, all of this light, all of this blue light is causing an issue with people's melanin production, and they're unable to sleep. So they're not getting enough actual natural light. They're getting all this weird light. Like, we've been living through this for a long, long time here in Fowl Original life. I mean, I'm always in front of screens. My sleep has been wrecked due to my stupidness. But screens, children's screen time has little effect on sleep. Let's take you to that story. So, children's screen time has little effect on sleep, says study. The amount of time children spend on devices has little effect on how long they sleep, a study from Oxford University suggests. It runs counter to previous research that suggested excessive screen time was linked. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this story is it does seem like a bit of a headliner. So let's go into what the actual research shows. So the study conducted by the Oxford Institute relied on data from the 2016 US study into children's health. So you're like, okay, the data's quite fresh-ish. Now, the children's digital screen time was based on answers to 2 questions about the weekday habits of children aged between 6 months and 17 years. How much time they spent on computers, mobile phones, handheld video games and other electronic devices. How much time they spent in front of a TV watching programs and other content, as well as playing video games. And the findings indicate that the tech-abstaining teenagers slept only slightly longer than their counterparts, who had spent much of their day in front of a screen. For example, teenagers who had not been in front of a screen for any part of the day got a total of 8 hours and 51 minutes of sleep. Those who had spent 8 hours of their day glued to a screen got 8 hours and 21 minutes of sleep. The sample size of the survey was more than 50,000 youngsters. And it says that every hour of, apparently another study, this study published in the Journal of Pediatrics said every hour of screen time was linked to between 3 to 8 fewer minutes of sleep at night. Screens are now a feature of modern childhood, but this is what I wanted to look at: the imperfect data. The study author thinks other factors should be considered. Focusing on bedtime routines and regular patterns of sleep, such as consistent wake-up times, are much more effective strategies for helping young people sleep than thinking screens themselves play a significant role. Professor, I'm not even going to attempt it, told the BBC that many of the studies suggesting links between screen time and lack of sleep had very small sample sizes and need much larger studies. And it was an imperfect because it relied on reports from parents, which is obviously true because you're not really getting it from the kids. The late Apple's chief Steve Jobs' young children notably not allowed iPads. Some leading tech executives have banned their children from using devices. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates banned phones until his children were teenagers. And Tim Cook, Apple's current leader, has said he will not let his nephew join social networks. And they need more research on this area. So the main story that came from that was that there isn't really a link between these two things, and that maybe, yes, a very, very, very small amount of sleep is lost if you stare at screens all day, but it doesn't really matter if you don't. So what it is just moderation, isn't it? If you're in front of the screen because you're on a treadmill or something, yeah, it's all good. Now, and if you want to help support the channel, I haven't done a shill in at least 15 minutes, so if Would also like to shout out our sponsor, Gamonic. This show has been a little bit like higgledy-piggledy because it's just getting ready, but if you go to fowloriginal.com, you will see my big old bird face. If you go ahead and click the big old bird face, you can click support the channel. Click support the channel, it'll take you through to two options. There's a donate button. If you click that, it's the most popular option. It allows you to do a PayPal donation. You go ahead and say, give $5. Make this a monthly donation to help support my content on the regs. That's Fowl Originals Wrestling, Fowl Originals Newsround, and all the other bits and bobs that I do here on the internet. I would also like to shout out Gamonic. If you go to fowloriginal.com/Gaymonic, you will get yourself a little surprise. 10% off all of their merchandise. Or you can use the code FOWL, that's FOWL, and you'll get yourself 10% off as well. Link in the description on the YouTubes. Check it out. Also, you can check out fight.tv if you like that. I've seen a few of you been doing that. Thank you very, very much. Got a few other shows in the pipeline because of you. Thank you all for supporting the channel with fight.tv credits. Goddamn, thank you. Anyway, next story was this, which is new look to close 120 stores, another billionaire owning a lot of the UK. This is kind of goes with one of the other stories we were talking about the other day, which is that there are currently several very, very high profile in the sense of they're known within this world, but not known within our world, of billionaires who own a significant amount of the UK service industry or food industry. Now, when I looked at this story, so new look to close another 120 stores. Hello there, SJ Styles. I thought, well, what is this here? Like, they own a lot of stores. That doesn't really mean anything to me, but I thought I'd go to it. So, oops, here we go. So if I switch over to this, let's switch over. You can see that, oh, not that one, this one. New look may lose more than 120 UK stores. So the fashion retailer said in March it would shut 60 stores through restructuring, just a normal kind of guff. Despite falling sales, its underlying operating profits improved, which basically meant it did a lot better online than it did in store. So they want to kind of close it and have these more pop-up stores happen. And the current plans will leave the retail of 508 stores. And the reason why this story kind of jumped out at me was I was looking at last month, the chain said it was bailing out of China with other international operations under review. Then I read this. South African retail magnate Christo Wies's investment vehicle Brait bought 90% of New Look in 2015 for £780 million from private equity firms Apax and Permira. Okay. The remaining stake was held by Tom Singh, who founded New Look in 1969, and senior managers. Apax and Permira abandoned plans to float the highly indebted chain on the London Stock Exchange in 2010 due to market volatility in the wake of the financial crisis. Mr. Wise also controls Steinhoff, whose shares crashed in December 2017, following the revelation of accounting irregularities. Steinhoff owns Poundland, Bedsons for Beds, and Harvey's in the UK, and 40 other local brands in about 30 countries. So the main news that came to me from this was that multinational conglomerates now exist in one person form. So you have one person who owns a significant amount of the local infrastructure in different places around the world. And it just shows that if people like this decide, we just want to close a bunch of it down, they are whales within a sea of everybody's employment. The amount of people that will lose their jobs after 120 stores closes who work in New Look. New Look is a pretty strong brand when you think about it. The amount of places that will close, it's going to be another blight on the high street of another shop that has to close down. Another Poundland. Well, he owns Poundland, so maybe he closes the stores and turns them into Poundlands. Do you see what I'm saying? It's a proliferation of the lowest common denominator. It's watching something like Idiocracy, and watching Idiocracy and just seeing it come to life. It's like the chains have evolved until we will have House of Fraser. There will just be a big Sports Direct. It will just be a big Sports Direct. It'll be Sports Direct of Fraser. And our final kind of story of the real stories is the US midterm elections. Is Trump losing his grip on the people? I wanted to talk about this. We're running low on time, but I wanted to have a little bit of an extra longish episode because we weren't here yesterday. And I wanted to take you to this. So the US midterm elections, in a nutshell, in a very, very small nutshell, kind of work in this, which is the two houses of Congress, which make America's laws, are controlled by the two-party system. So depending on which party has that kind of bias, more of on which side, depends on which party really has the power to make laws and enact and enforce laws that already exist, and to reinterpret laws that maybe exist to a new kind of conclusion. So the governor posts and seats in state legislatures are also up for grabs. So Donald Trump has been going on a campaign of, if the Democrats come in, and the Muslims will come in, and the Muslims will kill everyone, because that's what they do. A controversial ad was played on NBC, which was banned from CNN, which obviously Trump called fake news and said they had an agenda, but it was a very scaremongery ad. I'm not going to play it here, but as you can see, because of this, there have been record turnouts within the electorate for these midterm elections. It all depends on whether these people are here to vote for Republican or here to vote for Republican to strengthen the grip that Donald Trump has on the American people at the moment, or if they're here to vote for the Democratic Party. If they're here to vote for the Democrats, then potentially this could show a new change in what's happening. And that's what people are saying. Barack Obama on the campaign trail for the Democratic Party said, the character of our country is on the ballot. Mr. Trump attended 3 rallies on the final day of campaigning on Monday, telling his supporters everything we have achieved is at stake tomorrow. And Americans are voting for 435 seats in the House of Representatives and 35 of 100 seats in the House of Senate, the 2 bodies that make up Congress. Governors are also being chosen in 36 out of 50 states. The House of Representatives are the people who essentially speak to the people, and they're the ones that vote for law to be enacted. And the Senate are people that enact and kind of reinterpret those laws. They're brought by the House of Representatives, who represent people in every single state. But if the Democrats manage to wrest control of one or both of the chambers, they could stymie or even reverse Mr. Trump's plans, because laws have to go through both houses and be okayed. If they don't get through both houses and they stop dead in one of them, that's maybe where President Trump brings in something that he wants to bring in, the executive order, to push it through both. But yeah, it would be a bit hard if you had a whole load of people there saying no. Now, what happens on election day? People manage to vote, and they vote. 5 races to watch: the Kentucky's 6th district, the Florida's governorship, and these are where they could change to a massive swing state, and where they could change to Democrat and actually really have a voice within Congress. And then what are the key issues? Basically, so-called kitchen table issues, such as healthcare, in economic inequality, because that's what the Democrats are saying. But Donald Trump has spoken about saying that if the Democrats come in, they'll damage the economy and they'll allow more illegal immigration. But the Democratic Party are hoping that younger voters who are now old enough to vote and probably went, oh my God, what the hell just happened there in the last election, can do something about it maybe. Mr. Trump has faced widespread criticism for his divisive action, and on Monday, NBC and even Mr. Trump's favourite network, Fox News, announced they would stop broadcasting a 30-second ad paid for his campaign, which featured an undocumented Mexican immigrant. And Trump says, I feel to a certain extent I have no choice. Maybe I do, maybe I could have been softer from that standpoint. So it's a pretty big story. Hello there, Dwayne Hadley. It's a pretty big story, I'm guessing, for anyone within the US. Like, big story. I just kind of want to see the fireworks here in the UK. We can't really see anything else. But US midterm elections, there'll be a lot of big news happening at about 4 or 5 o'clock tomorrow, and we'll be covering it tomorrow in a much more expanded format. Now, I wanted to take you to something that some of you may not have seen before, which is Metro Moments. So the Metro is a free newspaper, which I'm about to pull out my bag now. It's a free newspaper that you can get here in the UK. You get it on the buses. There's a guy at work who brings it in for me. I go at the buses sometimes. And it's Tuesday, November the 6th. As you can see, it's like I've been killed. Now, this is a story we're going to talk about later on, but I didn't really want to show the video, which is sickest bonfire party in Britain. I read it and I was like, oh, is it like sick, you know, like the sickest bonfire? No, it's not. It's absolutely vile. It was a reenactment of Grenfell Tower with people in there, and they burned an effigy and put it on They put it on. They put it on social media. They put it on camera. Where is it continued? Because it's like, okay, page 2. Videos crude, cardboard cutouts, and it's just a video. Jump out a window, and that they would offences committed would be fully investigated, and they were appalled by the videos. It's just very, very sad. But the Metro is normally a really fun newspaper, kind of like a weekly shopper newspaper for those of you in the UK, sorry, in the US even. So we had that story obviously, and then let's have a look at anything that I found in here, which was. So there's this story, which is about this Brexit effigy, which they did say that the bit of the double standard there. But this guy was Theresa May was being held up, the severed head of Theresa May with Boris Johnson as a float for Halloween. I thought that was quite funny. And is this one of our first stories? Because I kind of found it hard to find them. Oh, here we go. Yeah, here's one. So this is Metro Bites. And it is. Here we go. A pensioner has walked and cycled 350 miles to lay poppies at 100 war memorials. Eric Riddle, 67, travelled around Hertfordshire to honour his grandfather James, who was killed in World War One, aged 27. God damn! I can't even cycle down the road. I can't even cycle. Most doctors do not know enough about e-cigarettes to recommend them to patients who smoke, although health officials say they aid quitting. The NCRI Cancer Conference in Glasgow was told. This story, I'm not going to, because I can't laugh at it. It's not fit to laugh at it. And what other, because there wasn't much in the Metro today. I kind of had a little look, but there wasn't anything that really jumped out at me. Normally the Metro is full of bits. There's the story about rapper Miller, Mac Miller dying of an overdose, and Ariana Grande doing some stuff. This rugby player who actually died now after 8 years. After he ate a slug for a dare. He ate a poisonous slug and he's dying now. He went into a coma and after 8 years he died. It's really sad news. So this made me laugh though. Only in the Metro. Only in the Metro. The House Doctors, in association with Halifax Home Insurance. And I'm just going to read this to you, yeah? So you can see, I'm going to read that. The two lovely gays, aka Russell Whitehead and Jordan Clurou, diagnose your design dilemmas. That's in a Metro Moments, which takes us to a new segment which I made up, which is in other news, Twitter talk. So Twitter talk today, I got some Twitter talk for you. Sorry, Twitter time. It's Twitter talk, not Twitter talk. Twitter time. Twitter time. It's Twitter time. So these are stories that I found on Twitter just before I came here on the internet. So number one, which is obviously Big Brother UK, BB UK, and you can see this guy Cameron Cole won. I don't know who Cameron Cole is. He's obviously a big deal. He has won the last Big Brother. He is the final entrant from the diary. He's the final one to leave the diary room. You know, those kind of things. He is the final Big Brother. He is the final Big Brother. I don't know what else to say to that. But that's a big story. Obviously, it's ended now. Big Brother is over. Channel 5 have closed all of the show off. It doesn't exist anymore. We're probably going to get stuff like The Circle from now on and different things. Big Brother doesn't necessarily work anymore as a format. Also, in Twitter time, this is kind of more of a, I do a show over on YouTube. It's called on Fowl Original Wrestling. Please subscribe. And you can check out my chat about this. And I will talk about this on tomorrow's weekly wrestling recap, which happens between 8 PM and 9 PM on that channel. But Triple H shares a pic of his injury before the surgery. So Triple H was in Saudi Arabia last week, and he was involved in a match with The Undertaker and Kane, teaming up with his buddy Shawn Michaels, who came back to the ring after 8.5 years of being in retirement. Triple H injured himself during that match. He tore his pectoral muscle. Let's show you what that looks like. Oh my Oh my god. So this is his surgery. This is his picture just before the surgery. Oh my god, Triple H, you cheeky bugger. He is the man. He really is. Yeah, he's going to be ready for WrestleMania. I think we're looking at potentially him facing Batista at WrestleMania, and if that's the point, if that's the case, then yes. So this is our final story. BBC says it's seen leaked notes on how government would present Brexit to the public. BBC political editor Laura Kunzenberg said the leaked notes sketch out a detailed government timetable for selling the Brexit deal to the public and Parliament. The government says the notes are not their plan. Leaked notes sketch out detailed government timetable for selling Brexit deal to public and Parliament, including speeches from the PM, other ministers, business groups, and others coming on board. More in a minute. Here we go. Brexit communications grid summary. Cabinet reviews the deal this Tuesday, the 6th of November. They expect all details to then leak. A moment of decisive progress will be announced this Thursday. Rob to announce. The narrative is going to be measured success, that this is good for everyone, but won't be all champagne corks popping. Then there's recess until the 12th. After the announcement of decisive progress, there follows the 10 days of Sherpa meetings with EU 27 and then daily themed announcements. 19th of November, we have delivered on the referendum. PM speaks at the CBI conference, saying this deal brings the country back together. Now is the time for us all to unite behind it for the good of all our futures, etc. She will also hold a business reception. This is the day both the withdrawal agreement and future framework will be put to Parliament by way of a statement from Rob. We'll also do media. Junior ministers are all doing regional media all day. Government lining up 25 top business voices, including Caroline Fairbairn, and lots of world leaders, e.g. Japanese PM, to tweet support for the deal. 20th, theme is delivering for the whole of the UK. PM to visit the North and or Scotland, and the Commons will debate in business motions the date of the meaningful vote. So that is a lot of information there, and it will be interesting to see if it all goes down like that. That is Twitter time. Twitter time. And so for those of you that watch this show on the regs, thank you very much. Number one, thank you all for your support. Fowl Originals Newsround has been labour of love. It really, really has. And I couldn't have done it without all of you folks out there pushing me every goddamn night to try and do something weird and do something different and treat this like a way that I can talk about anything. And I feel like if anybody wants to send in stories, as I said before, I'm more than happy to put them on here. Just remember that it has to be funny. So on that, I'm gonna end this now. End this show today with what we always do, which is a way to get ourselves copyright struck. But if you like the way I get myself copyright struck and you want to help support the channel in ways you can only imagine, then make sure that you feel free to check out fowloriginal.com. When you go to fowloriginal.com, you'll see my big old bird face. When you see my big old bird face, you can go ahead and click support the channel. And if you click support the channel, it'll take you down to two options. You can click donate, which allows you to donate via PayPal. You can also click become a Patreon, which allows you to become a Patreon. Quite simple. You click the donate button, it'll take you to a PayPal donation page. When you get to that PayPal donation page, you can go ahead and say, give me $5 and make it a monthly donation to help support my content on the regs. That's to help Fowl Originals Newsround, Fowl Original Wrestling, and all the other bits and bobs that I do month to month. $5 is like a cup of coffee. It would, for example, help support server costs for the website. So that's always a good thing. I'm not asking for the world. But I want to say big shout out to the cops and to the bus company that are kind of trying to deal with this, and to all of you guys out there and girls who are joining the conversation. And if you're having like issues on public transport, like I guess what you do is you just don't report it because nothing happens so far, allegedly. Anyway, on that note, this has been a Fowl Original. Thanks for watching. And I will leave you now with probably the best one, really. Let's see if it's going to be there. I think. Obviously, join us tomorrow for Newsround as well. Also, join us if you like wrestling, 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. One of the highest subscriber increasing number shows on all of YouTube. Want to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year. by January 1st. And if you could all help me do it, that'd be amazing. We're going up pretty fast at the moment. And check out my Instagram as well for motivational posts every now and then. Wrestling with motivation. But let's leave you with this. I'm trying to think of what to leave you with now. My mind is a blank. Oh, okay, actually I got it. Yes. Okay. This is in kind of memory and in kind of, there's a dude at work that keeps humming this all day and it takes me back to fun times. So let's whack this on the screen for you. Here we go. And I'm going to end the show today. Thank you very much to everyone who has joined the show, everyone who has supported by liking, sharing, subscribing, and all that kind of business. As I said, it really, really does help with the algorithm, and it helps me out massively. So with that, let's watch this as I tell you what else you can do. It's very loud. Oh, let's bring it down. So if you want to help support the channel, you can go ahead and go to fowloriginal.com to help support that channel. You can also help supporting us by going to GameOnic. If you go to fowloriginal.com/GameOnic, you will go straight to GameOnic, who produce gaming inspired apparel. That's t-shirts, hoodies, and all that kind of stuff, mugs, stickers. You can also help support the channel by going to fowloriginal.com/Movember. Fowl Original is doing Movember. I know I look like a bit of a hobo now, but I'm going to be sorting that out. I did get attacked yesterday, god damn it. And you can also help support the channel by just coming and watching this, liking, sharing, subscribing, following if you're on Twitch, and all those places. But on that note, this has been Fowl Original. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Hope you have yourself a great day and enjoy it. Enjoy it all. Enjoy all of life. Enjoy it all. Bye.